master.
Mercy of the spiritual master.
Kamam, desire. Labdva, having achieved. Pumstvam, maleness. Vyavastaya, by this settlement of Lord Shiva. Palayam Asha, he ruled Jagatim, the whole world. Na Abhyanandan Sma, were not satisfied with. Tam, to the king. Praja, the citizens. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Thus being favored by the spiritual master, according to the words of Lord Shiva, Sudumya regained his desired maleness every alternate month, and in this way ruled the kingdom, although the citizens were not satisfied with this purpose. The citizens could understand that the king was transformed into a female every alternate month, and therefore could not discharge his royal duty. Consequently, they were not very satisfied. Read text 41 as well, and 42, that's the end of the chapter. Text 41. O King, Sudumna had 3 very pious sons, named Utkala, Gaya, and Vimala, who became the kings of the Dakshinapada. Text 42. Thereafter, when the time was ripe, when Sudimna, the king of the world, was sufficiently old, he delivered the entire kingdom to his son Pururava and entered the forest. Purport. According to the Vedic system, one within the institution of Varna and Ashram must leave his family life after he reaches 50 years of age. Panchasat Budvam Vanam Prajet. Thus, Sudimna followed the prescribed regulation of Varnashrama by leaving the kingdom and going to the forest to complete his spiritual life. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 9th canto, 1st chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled King Sudimna Becomes a Woman. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnana-Shalakya Chakshurmilitam Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sargana Ragnatam Jivam Sahavitam Savadutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padana Sarjana Dutta Shri Satanam Sa He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Devi Namami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripasindhu Devacha Padidam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Bhagavate Vacharam Amunagare Girim Yadvipa Shri Guru Vinataya Namo Vishnudaya Krishna Prasthaya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityananda Namaste Saraswati So in text 40, 41 and 42. Thus, being favored by the spiritual master, according to the words of Lord Shiva, Sudimna regained his desired maleness every alternate month, and in this way ruled the kingdom, although the citizens were not satisfied with this. O King Sudimna had three very pious sons named Utkala, Gaya, Vimala, who became the kings of the Dakshina part. Thereafter, when the time was right, when Sudimna, the king of the world, was sufficiently old, he delivered the kingdom, entire kingdom, to his son Pururava and entered the forest. This is a very interesting chapter in Srimad Bhagavatam. So, a few lessons, a few message we could see from this episode. So first point which is very striking or very runs throughout this chapter is no one is happy in this material world. First, the Manu was not happy because he wanted a son and he got a daughter named Ila. And then some or other, with the help of his spiritual master, same Vasishta, changed into a male. That is King Sudimna. And then he went to the forest. I think the forest name was Sukumar. And once he entered, no one enters there, but because there was a background story, because the sages were not happy of the Lord Shiva and Parvati. So then to please Parvati, Lord Shiva said, okay, anyone enters this forest will become a male. Sorry, will become a female actually. So he became a female and then got attracted. The son of Moon, I think, Buddha, he got attracted to that. And they both unite, and you can see they got three sons, Utkala, Gaya, and Vimala, when she was a female. That Sudimna was a female, got three kids. And then she became a female, was not happy. Again want to change into male. So, back and forth, the whole episode, you could see that someone is not happy. So first of all, he was not happy. Then he became she, then again became he. In this whole thing, not only the person who is going through the chain, not happy. Now you can see in this purport that he wanted to become a male again so that he can rule the kingdom. And with the help of the spiritual master, he became a male. And then guess what? The citizens are not happy. What is this? My king is changing his identity. So there is a pinprick in the system of whole material creation place of Dukhalaya, Krishna says that. So, somewhere that happiness is evaporated or missed out. And the irony of the whole creation, the jiva actually come to this material world with the enjoying mentality. So that's it's like that's the deal. That's a agreement between the jiva and the prakriti. And in return, so this is from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, text 22, I guess. Karanam Sangasya. This verse is the Prakriti and Purusha. So he has this imaginary that I am the enjoyer, I am the Purusha, and I want to lord over this material nature so that I can be happy. And of course, the Prakriti offers many things. So one of the first things the Prakriti offers to Jiva is the false ego. So in order to create, in order to have that false illusion of happiness, you need to have a false identity. So that Jiva gets the false ego, and that's the foundation. And your gross and subtle body is built around that false ego. And so the hope of enjoyment and the sense of happiness is created, which is the biggest enemy. Prabhupada writes also that many times, I think in one of the Prabhupada, the hope of happiness or hope of enjoying is actually more illusion than the actual happiness. We create more excitement and everything. So then, what did then Prakriti offers? Because we thinking that I'll be happy and the Jiva will be happy, but in return it gives Sadasa Yonishu. That means it gives repeated birth. So the enjoying mentality is being experienced through the senses, through sense gratification. The manifestation of this mentality of enjoying is delivered through the senses. And the misuse of the senses and the sense gratification, we get a body. That's the effect of getting the new body. And then the cycle goes on, and the jiva continues. So it's shackled, it is being captured by a particular body, and then we come into the laws of material nature. So no one is happy. That's a very interesting thing. So here we can see this episode of changing the body. So Prabhupada writes that Krishna says that you change the cloth, one cloth of the another cloth. So he was identifying as a male cloth, then he changed to a female cloth. But the soul is happy. The soul, if you see the quality of spiritual, it is bliss, it is ananda. But the missing or the key is, we are part and parcel of Krishna. So our happiness has to be in line with Krishna desire. That means the part has to act in conjunction with the whole mission, the whole system. It has to be in harmony. trying to find happiness separate from Krishna is like trying to find water in a desert. You may not find one. Maybe you will see like there is a mirage. You may be running here and there, but it's very difficult. Because the moment the part, like the limb of the body is being severed from the body, it is useless. It has nothing to do with it. It's dead. So the mentality of lording it over has to be changed into the mentality of service to Krishna. That is the whole point of Krishna consciousness. That we change our attitude or change our framework. Instead of serving the body, we start serving the master of all the body, the Rishikesha. So that's the first point, that where we can find that no one is happy, but we can find happiness only by engaging in devotional service or service to Krishna. So that's the purpose of human life, if you really see. The whole point of human life is to come to this conclusion that one take up the service of the Krishna consciousness or service to Krishna. Now, second point, which is very much evident, is change is inevitable. As a matter, it is always changing, right? 6 changes a matter goes through: birth, then produce byproducts, then growth, maintenance, then dwindle, then vanish. Change is always there. So here we can see that King Sudimna undergone so many changes. He changed the body, like we from boyhood to youth to old age. Right? That's a change body is going through. On top of that, he changed his identity as well. Which we can't avoid. Body has to go through some changes. We can change the label, like an identifying with different name to it. But how can you stop? You can't stop. The matter has to go through the changes that we can see: creation, maintenance, annihilation. We just saw that devastation, and the Lord was the only person who was there. It's Matsya Avatar. And then so many kings, this whole chapter, if you see this whole canto, you will see so many dynasties, so many names, so many kings, the great prominent kings in Sun dynasty, and the great prominent kings in Moon dynasty. Here only so many names, so many changes, so many things are happening. In our life also we can see, our body is going through so many changes, our situation, circumstances. Right? What does not change is the Atma and the relationship with Krishna. So that does not change. So that we need to see. So that is true knowledge. one can see the soul, the super soul, and the body, all three, that will function. Right? So it's interesting. How can one see? How can one see that all three is? How can one see is by association. Actually, if you see, what we see is only material vision. But when we associate with some great saintly personalities, when we associate with Bhagavatam, when we associate with the Bhagavad Gita, the knowledge, or the book Bhagavat, or the person Bhagavat, or then we start to see the spiritual things. We start to see not just the body, the soul which is there making the changes within that body, making that growth, making that matter animation into all those varieties of things. And not only that, we see the super soul. As long as we keep the association, spiritual association, our vision is also can see that. The moment we decrease our association, then we get that cataract. Our vision becomes blurred. We don't see the spirit which is there in the body. So one who can see the super soul within, his liberation is easily achieved. Right? So it's simple, like one can see the problem, then he can find a solution. But a person who can't see the problem, then he assumes there is no solution, or it's just way of life. So with the spiritual association, one can see clearly the soul, the body, the super soul, and everything, and he can see what is changing, what is not changing, and how one can be able to liberate that soul from the body. So this is the second we have to remember. And the last, which is this purport. Thereafter, when the time was right, when Sudimna, the king of the world, was sufficiently old, he delivered the entire kingdom to his son Pururava and entered the forest. So, the person was not happy. The person who is going through the changes, but the important thing is he has not taken the eyes off the goal. See, so much he did for his own happiness, or for the citizen, or for the welfare and everything. Everything he did, finally he gave it to someone and walked off to the forest to become Krishna conscious. Right? So one has to always have that goal or back of the mind that one should not give up, or one should aim for Krishna conscious. Because one will go through a lot of changes. The body is going to change, situations, circumstances, everything, but then our goal is to remain Krishna consciousness. So here is the greatest example you can see is Sudimna, the king, who had so many situations or changes, but then he retired. That he gave it to his son and he just went to the forest. Vanaprastha. one within the institution of Varna and Ashram must leave his family life after he reaches 50 years of age. Thus, Sudhimna followed the prescribed regulation of Varnashram by leaving the kingdom and going to the forest to complete his spiritual life. Of course, this has to be done in due consideration of sadhus and guru, of changing ashram, or to go to forest or live as a life of ascetic like vanaprastha. Sometimes Prabhupada also mentioned that if one is in household life and performing Krishna consciousness and able to preach, able to do, then why to change to other varnas or even take sannyas? Right? That's the reason we can see that even in Varnashram is not part of the 64 angas or the 64 related principles of bhakti. Because it's not dependent on one's varna and ashram. Of course, the goal of varna ashram is to make one person progressive to Krishna consciousness. That is the purpose. But in itself is not as an element to make one elevation. So one's advancement or one's depth is not measured in terms of one's varna and ashram. That is by devotion. One's devotion actually determines how one is advanced in spiritual life. So here you can see Sudhimna, he had a lot of changes that we can go through in the previous text. And then he, as a king, but still he retired everything. He gave up. So sometimes it's very difficult. You hard hand, or you want to achieve something, or you work hard, or you plan, you desire, and then you get it. And then you want to give up everything. So it's very difficult because you develop some kind of attachment in the process of getting things. And then once you get things, it creates a lot of bond. And then after that, you have to give up. It's difficult. But you can see here, even though he completely changed his body and everything, and then become a king, he wanted to become a king. He became changed his body, married to Buddha. Then somewhere he's not happy. Then he wanted to become a king. He became a king, and then in 50 years he retired. So it's so that's why even though one may be going through Lord, but his vision or his goal that I need to be Krishna conscious, that has to be very important. Otherwise, all those changes, all those situations, we just carry ourselves. We identify with that. We identify with the body, and then we identify with the happiness and distress caused by the body. And then we think, oh, what to do, I can't come out, and I can't. So Prabhupada writes that in one of the purport, best idea or the best process to chant in order to get rid of the lamentations. So I'll read some part of it. The best performance of yajna given to us is the Sankirtan yajna. Yajna Sankirtana Praya Yajanti Hi Sumedasa Bhagavatam 11:5. Those who are intelligent take advantage of the greatest yajna in this age by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in congregation. When the Hare Krishna mantra is chanted by many men together, the chanting is called Sankirtana. And as a result of such a yajna, there will be clouds in the sky. Yajna Bhavati Prajnaya. In these days of drought, people can gain relief from scarcity of rain and food by simply method of the Hare Krishna yajna. So even the problem of drought and scarcity. Indeed, this can relieve all of human society. At present, there are droughts throughout Europe and America, and people are suffering. But if people take this Krishna conscious movement seriously, if they stop their sinful activities and chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, all their problems will be solved without difficulty. See? It's a kind of profound statement, Prabhupada. Such a faith. So this, this is a conviction and faith. And if they in other process of yajna, there are difficulties because there are no learned scholars who can chant the mantras perfectly well. Perfect example of this case where there is some mistake happened, and even though the one who wanted a boy, he got a girl. Because human society is learned scholars who can chant the mantras perfectly well, no learned scholars. Nor is it possible to secure the ingredients to perform the yajna. Purity. So first of all, getting a qualified brahmana in this age of Kali is very difficult. Even if we get one, then the ingredients is not pure enough. Because human society is poverty stricken and men are devoid of Vedic knowledge and the power to chant the Vedic mantras, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the only shelter. And then Prabhupada, this statement is, people should be intelligent enough to chant it. Yajne Sankirta Praya Yajanti Hi Sumedasa. Those whose brains are dull cannot understand this chanting, nor can they take to it. So, some intelligence is required in order to appreciate, chant, and take shelter. And see, if you really see, first we, in introducing to Krishna consciousness, if they can't appreciate chanting, at least they will appreciate prasadam. And Prabhupada says, by eating prasadam, one brain's final tissues are getting, nourished. It clicks, Actually, if you really see, most of the time, when we have prasadam, we don't realize. But when we miss prasadam, we clearly see ourselves. Our clarity or thought or something is missing. But then when we have prasadam, we can able to appreciate actually many things. So here you can see Prabhupada saying that, chanting some intelligence is required in order to appreciate the process of chanting. And in order to create that intelligence, we have to maybe give prasadam or give some association and make that conducive. What is a preacher's work? A preacher's work is basically making the ground fertile. When the ground is fertile, when the seed of bhakti is planted, then it takes its own root and it grows. Of course, there are other problems comes like anarthas, weeds. Okay, that's a problem which comes after the taking Krishna consciousness. But in order to take up Krishna consciousness, the preacher work is to make the ground fertile. How to make it? So that's where the intelligence comes. Intelligent come. So I was reading Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada says, the 14th chapter, that one has to understand this chapter by philosophical speculation. So in that Prabhupada writes, what is philosophical speculation? Philosophical speculation means one use one's intelligence to understand what he has heard. That is philosophical speculation. That one uses one's intelligence to understand what he has heard or what he has read in terms of Riti, Shastra and everything. So, but within the periphery of Krishna consciousness. So mental speculation means like whimsical. Or in other terms, like if the goal is to come to Krishna, and then you found your way to come to that goal using your intelligence, then it is philosophical speculation. How this is done. So here we can see intelligence plays a key role in order to appreciate Krishna consciousness, in order to appreciate the philosophy. Sometimes people can't understand. People can't understand simple terms, simple things in Krishna consciousness. ABCD of Krishna consciousness. They can't make sense. They can't able to comprehend. So, the lowest of the mankind. So Krishna says, very difficult. These people can't come to me. But then Prabhupada says, okay, Krishna is saying like that, but the devotee of Krishna goes even more merciful. And then he gives the example of Lord Nityananda, who delivered Janaka and Mata. They are lowest of the mankind, but then the devotee, Krishna is saying they will not come to me. But then the devotee, who is Lord Nityananda, merciful, so he delivers them. So we can see that this chapter, three things which I summarize. So first is not many are happy. So we can be happy in Krishna consciousness, not in material world. The second is change is inevitable. And the third is that goal, even though so many changes, so many unhappy situations, whatever, but our goal is to come to Krishna consciousness. So I'll stop here and see if anyone has any comments, correction. What we discuss. Any questions? Yes. they are a bit lonely and they don't have someone. We see Prabhupada also, you are ever well wisher. That part is missing. They don't have a friend or they don't have a well wisher kind of. Because always they encounter someone who wants something from them. And so even if you're going or something, they're always in a kind of flux. So what are you going to take out from me or what are you going to do? Even though this whole process is so unconditional that we give it to people for free, chanting or prasad, everything, they're always scared, something is there, some agenda is there. What do you want? Tell me. So till that time, they understood as something, we just have to be like good friend, like not judging or not having too much expectation. Just be there. And time will come actually. When they open up, then we give the medicine of Krishna consciousness. So be a good friend and even Krishna gives that hierarchy that if one cannot fully observe, then one can use his mind, then one can work. Can't recollect the verses, but if you can't do this, then do this, then if you can't. So our thing is like we need to find the spark and closely observe what is good, because it's not like one formula, one size fits all. That's a materialistic way of doing it. One thing and then it is for everyone the same. No. It's like a doctor. Even though every patient comes to a clinic, a doctor cannot have the same methodology of diagnosis. Depending upon the symptom, depending upon what is showing up or what is information is giving, then we try to analyze with this knowledge and then we try to find how can we treat or how can we find what is the problem. Right? So similarly same. So we are all, every teacher is like a spiritual doctor, trying to identify what the patient is going through, or where he's at, what kind of medicine we can give, at what time and how much. Right? Of course, on the process of becoming, we may kill many patients. That is, it's an unfortunate situation, right? When we are initially, we try to become so harsh and hard that we lose that patient. Where operation successful, patient died like that. We have conveyed whatever we want to tell. If they are not taking, they are telling me, they are demon. Go. So it takes time.
So in that early process where we have to be their friend before we give them medicine or Krishna consciousness, sometimes just being the friend part can devour into not necessarily doing Krishna conscious activities. Sometimes you have to speak to them like a friend, and it's not very Krishna conscious topics that you talk to them about, or doing things that are not very Krishna conscious related. So in terms of our own self-preservation, how far do we stretch that line where we can extend ourselves to be the friend, but at the same time go so far away from Krishna conscious for ourselves.
You have to give hand in such a way you can help, not you can fall. So that's the maturity, guidance, take guidance from senior devotees and things like that. And also, your intention has to be very clear in this, that you are trying to help that person, right? Not trying to give company to that person. You are trying to help that person. So your way of approach, way of everything has to be in that line of, and then you can, you go to GP and he knows his limit, and then what he does, he recommends a specialist. If things are going beyond, he said, okay, I'll recommend. Similarly, it's a team. Preaching is always a team. We are all one team. Everyone
thank you for the class, Pro. Just was reflecting on the text, well, the past time that we read, it's really about, and it seems to me that the constant theme is changes and the effect that produce on us and others. So, as devotees or practicing devotees, how we should deal with changes, constant changes, then not necessarily is because of us, also other factors that are around us.
Because bhakti, I mean, whatever happening is very dynamic. If you're in a temple environment and situation, for me personally also, there was never a day same. Every day is different. Every day is different. Every challenge is different. Everything is different. But then we have our core principle, our sadhana, our practice. That is not changing. Even though so many other things are changing. The mantra is same. Our feedback is same. Certain things are same. Our duties, our service, our vows to spiritual master, our Dasa, Devi Dasi, that is same, that is constant, certain things are constant. So that we have to work on it. We have to be focused on that. Because so many change in our everyday life, in everyday things, that's going to come. It's going to come. You can't say, you said like a change is the only constant in the material world. And it's going to come. Situation, ourselves, our body is changing, our position, everything will be changing. But if we can able to focus on what is constant, what is with us, what is going to be with us, I think that means easy. Of course, like a certain situation, yes, we adapt to that change. There are situations where we have to change, we have to do this, we have to remove that, we have to put this, and we have to change that, we have to, innovate that, or expand that, or demolish that, or create that, so many things we do. And then we come back to our normal existence, okay, fine. Chanting or whatever, we come back. Then we adapt and then come back. So this is one thing. So during when we are doing so many things, is our meditation is on the change or meditation is on the constant thing? Right? So that is important as well. So like for example, when we are chanting, most of the times, all those things pops up. What you need to do, what you've done, or what is your list, or so many things comes. But then when we are doing those things, we don't get reminded of Krishna, or we don't reminded of constant thing, which is our sadhana or something. So these things are going to disturb us. These changes are going to disturb us. At least when we are doing our constant thing, our worship or our chanting, try to hear or try to be absorbed in that things. That will help us as a devotee. For me at least, that's going to help. Whatever I'm trying to do, constant thing, reading or chanting or puja or praying, try to be there. I'm not sure whether it answers the question, but
yes, thank you. So the way when you said adapting, the importance to develop flexibility and detachment, so it's important.
yeah.
But the core principles should be there for us constantly.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think in Nectar says that there's a principle and detail. The principle remains same, the detail can change. But our focus is on the principle, not on the detail. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada